certain niggas, bro, you just know not to fuck with, dog. And Pooh Shiesty is definitely one of the ones.
Pooh Shiesty is going to jail for a very long time.
9 suspects involved in the robbery and kidnapping of rapper Gucci Mane have been arrested. Officials say the alleged ringleader behind the attack was rapper Pooh Shiesty.
Chat, do y'all really think Pooh Shiesty did it, bro? I think that's AI. You know what I'm saying? He ain't tie up that man, bro. That wasn't him, bro. We'll
Northern
find out,
District of
though.
Texas, thank you for coming. This week, 9 individuals, including well-known musical artists, kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint numerous victims at a music studio in Dallas, Texas.
The arrest of Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty.
Pooh Shiesty is potentially facing life in prison.
Damn, he facing life? You know Pooh Shiesty facing life?
Ultimate exemplification of a dumb ass.
It just doesn't make sense.
And now I still pull a robbery, I'm too stuck in my way.
Now, do you think differently now that you're on? Like, you be like, I can't have that same mentality that I had when I was in the streets because now I got.
Hell no, he don't think like that.
He
fresh out, man. He fresh out.
But still, he making a lot of money though.
Yeah, but don't play.
Pooh Shiesty was supposed to be one of the biggest success stories to ever come out of Memphis. Born Latrell Donnell Williams Jr., a young man from the streets of South Memphis who had somehow beat the odds. A rapper whose raw, authentic rap lyrics turned him into one of the fastest rising stars in hip-hop. But what many didn't realize was that line between the music and real life was becoming harder and harder to separate. The same street credibility that had fueled his success had now positioned himself to destroy everything he had built. From what should have been the beginning of a legendary career has slowly become the near end of it all. A story of fame and self-destruction. A story of opportunity and consequence. A story that raises a difficult question. Can someone truly leave the streets behind when the streets are the very thing that made them who they are? This is the rise and downfall of Pooh Shiesty. On November 8th, 1999, Latrell Donnell Williams Jr. was born in Memphis, Tennessee, South Memphis specifically, one of the oldest and poorest sections of the city, stretching from Midtown all the way down to the Mississippi state line, and it has historically been the most violent territory in all of Memphis. Notable rappers who came out of the same South Memphis ecosystem included Young Dolph, Black Youngsta, and Moneybagg Yo. This is where he would become Pooh Shiesty. His mother gave him the nickname Pooh as a young child, a soft, playful name that stood in the complete contrast to what the streets would eventually make of the boy who carried it. The second half of that nickname, Shiesty, a word that literally means dishonest, deceptive, and shady, would be earned in the streets by Pooh through years of finessing, robbing, and scheming. His older brother T2P is the one credited with locking in the full nickname Pooh Shiesty, and by the time it stuck, Latrell had already lived more than most grown men. But to truly understand Pooh Shiesty, you have to understand where he came from, and that starts.
That's like when I gave my niggas his nickname. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't always they, but I had to put him on. Type shit.
His father, a man who had already been living this story for decades before his son ever did. Latrell Williams Sr., known on the streets by the alias of Mob Boss, is a man whose criminal record reads like a biography of South Memphis itself. Mob Boss was also the founder of a Memphis record label called Mob Ties, a label he started in the early 2000s that saw some local success, including signing Memphis rapper Miscellaneous. But even his music career was tangled with the streets. His first known arrest came at just the age of 15 years old, when he was charged in connection with the murder of an 18-year-old named Harold Williams. Because of his age, the specifics of how that case resolved were never widely publicized. But the very next year, in 1993, Mob Boss found himself at the center of another tragedy. At the age of 16 years old, he was charged with criminally negligent homicide after his...
I hope they're not saying this how he looked when he was 16. That nigga look old as shit, bro. He probably about 40-something, nigga. Talking about 16 years old, nigga. That's a damn lie.
19-year-old girlfriend was killed by a bullet from a .45 caliber pistol he had been handling.
Let me chill out, though. Respect to cuz, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what he got going on. I don't want him to come over here.
As being a juvenile, he avoided the full weight of the adult charges, but the patterns were already being written. In 1999, the same year his son Latrell was born, mob boss was charged with possession of controlled substance with intent to sell and unlawful possession of a weapon. Then, in 2002, he caught assault charges. 2 years later, in 2004, he was connected to the murder of a local radio personality named Rebecca Glenn, known by her own name persona as Rebecca Fox. She was brutally assaulted and killed in her own apartment by a man named Stanley Andrews. That man allegedly handed Rebecca's stolen cell phone and credit card to mob boss and his girlfriend at the time, Marquita Thomas, as police traced the devices back to them. Mob boss was convicted of accessory after the fact to murder and sentenced to 1 year in prison, a sentence that was later suspended in favor of supervised probation. Every time mob boss found himself in trouble with the law, he would find a way to escape, but trouble kept finding its way back to him. Many would allude to the fact that he may have allegedly been cooperating with investigators, which would explain the repeatedly suspended sentences for a man with a rap sheet this serious. And even on probation, mob boss never stopped seeking trouble. Police had been monitoring a trap house he was running on a dead-end street named Porter in South Memphis, a spot that looked abandoned from the outside, but was very much alive.
I gotta use the restroom. My stomach's bubbling.
On the inside. One day, the door was kicked in by law enforcement. Police would end up finding 12.5 grams of cocaine, 8 pounds of kush, 92 ecstasy pills, 3 pounds of cocaine, 5 pounds of marijuana, a small amount of crack, a pistol, and $11,000 in cash in mob boss's pocket. That raid and his prior convictions combined sent mob boss to prison for real this time. He would even go on to throw himself a farewell party before surrendering in April of 2010. His son, Pooh Shiesty, was just 10 years old at the time. According to court documents, mob boss was the primary custodial parent of Shiesty. His son's teachers even confirmed he dropped him off every morning and picked him up every evening. He even attended parent-teacher meetings. He was a present father, all while running trap houses and navigating the criminal legal system. When mob boss went to prison, young Shiesty was sent to live in Pflugerville, Texas with his mom, a quiet suburb right outside of Austin, a world away from the Cane Creek apartments he grew up in. For a couple of years, the chaos was behind him. But when mob boss was released, a couple of years later, Shiesty moved back to South Memphis, and South Memphis put him right back in.
Damn, see, this is what I'm saying. He was living in the suburbs.
Back in South Memphis growing up, Shiesty would be even more drawn to the streets, as mob boss would be released and Shiesty back reunited with his father. It's important to note, Shiesty would even state in songs his dad being his first co-defendant, as in being somebody to partner with to commit crimes, and asserting to his dad being a killer, showing Shiesty the lanes of the streets and guiding young Pooh Shiesty. As even in the song Day One, Pooh Shiesty was released in November of 2019, with the cover of the song showing Shiesty and his dad dressed up as mob gangsters. A direct window into the type of influence and modeling Shiesty had around him growing up. The streets of Memphis had Shiesty's attention at a very young age, and the consequences of the streets and the reality of the streets would hit Shiesty at 14 years old. As at the time, Shiesty was already deep in the streets. He would take his first loss. In 2014, at 14 years old, a Facebook post from that year showing Shiesty posted up in front of the Cane Creek apartments with the hashtag OLG, short for OG Lump Gang, as a tribute to a young man named Myron Armstrong Jr., known in the South Memphis streets as OG Lump or OG Little Lump. OG Lump was only 16 years old when he was killed in a double shooting in the Orange Mound neighborhood of Memphis in 2014. Even at 16 years old, Lump was already considered a well-respected name in the South Memphis streets. His death rippled across the city. Even future Memphis rap star Key Glock paid tribute in the early YouTube audio using the OLG hashtag on a post that as of today has amassed over 600,000 views. For young Shiesty, OG Lump wasn't just a street legend. He was his close friend, his first real loss. Lump was also a member of True Lamar.
See, this the problem too. When you end up in that life, bro, yo niggas gonna drop around you like flies, bro. That shit sad.
Mafia, a street gang located in South Memphis in the Foot Home Apartments, a collective that would go on to be directly connected to some of the most violent events in Memphis history. Shiesty would stay in the interview when asked about Lump with Big 30 beside him that Lump was his close friend, and Big 30 adding Lump being a Memphis legend.
What Lump you talking about?
Little Lump. Only Lump. Ain't nobody else been, nobody call themselves Lump around here. I really didn't even know him like that, really, but you got to know him from Memphis, a little thug.
But Lump wouldn't be just Shiesty's only loss while growing up. Lump was just the first sheet planet with many to come. His next loss would be the loss that turned him ruthless. The loss of Montrell Crutcher, better known on the streets as Trey Day. Trey Day was 16 years old when he was shot and killed in January of 2016 on the corner of Summer Avenue and Hudson in Memphis, Tennessee. Trey Day also went by the street name Castalia Kitchen, a reference to the Castalia Heights neighborhood, the same neighborhood Young Dolph was from. Trey Day and Shiesty were close in a way that the
gang.
streets forged friendship bonds. Shiesty's Facebook post after Trey Day's death tells the whole story. R.I.P. my brother Trey Day, along with still doesn't feel real. He honored him with the post that read, "Every day's a Trey Day," but it was one specific post that revealed the totality of Trey Day's death. As Shiesty would write, "I regret not going on that mission with my dog." That word mission is street language for a drill, a lick, or a dangerous operation, insinuating that Trey Day died while being on one of these sort of missions. He followed that with, "I've been trying to find the love you gave me ever since you died, but it'll never be the same. And what eats me up the most is I feel like it's my fault for not even going with you. You changed everything about me ever since. I've been living without remorse or sorrow. I really don't have feelings no more at all for nothing. I'm a menace to society, for real." After Trey Day, Pooh Shiesty was never the same. In the song Murder School from his mixtape, Shiesty would later rap, "Trey Day died on the way to me, ain't no way that it was true." As well followed with, "Me and Trey Day was in middle school with choppers as big as us." The losses didn't just stop there. In September of 2018, just 1 month before Chopper Gang would release their debut music video, another beloved figure in Shiesty's orbit was taken. A member known as 2-3, real name Kalichi Boone, was shot and killed along with his father during a shootout in the Cane Creek apartments, the very hood Shiesty called home. 2-3 was a member of the street gang known as Double R, short for Rich and Ruthless, and a coinciding member of Chopper Gang, as Double R being the same gang Shiesty's cousin Big Scar would go on to found and claim. Shiesty would put in an interview with the Dope Academy as 2-3 being like a little brother to him, as 3 people would die in this shootout in the Cane Creek apartments. Shiesty would go on to post a photo from 2-3's funeral captioned with, "So much pain in one picture." These weren't just deaths, they were the building blocks of a man who was gearing up for destruction.
Bro, look, they made him, and he had motion in the streets, bro. Like, at that point, man, a Rico was coming regardless, bro. I ain't gonna lie. You moving like this, bro, all your niggas getting put down, bro. Nigga, you gonna turn into a mob boss, bro. It's damn near destiny for that nigga, bro. That shit kind of, it was cooked from the jump, bro. Oh God.
When people talk about Chopper Gang, they usually start with the music. But Chopper Gang didn't start with music. It started in the 6th grade with a bunch of kids. On a Facebook post from 2017, Pooh Shiesty himself would write, "6th grade, start my own gang, Chopper Gang Military." The crew that would become Chopper Gang was assembled from Shiesty's closest circles during his time at Central High School, located in Midtown of Memphis. Shiesty would link with his childhood friend, Big 30, who was from Whitehaven, an area located about 15 minutes from the Cane Creek apartments. And the two had actually known each other since around the 5th or 6th grade. Big 30 would stay in the interview that his cousin moved to the Cane Creek apartments and he would come visit, meeting Pooh Shiesty in the process.
So Bone, he used to come over there on the, like, your cousin them stayed over there. That's how we met. My cousin them had moved from the Haven to the Cane Creek. Yeah. So that's how we linked.
They had known each other for nearly their whole lives. Alongside Big 30, Lil Hank and Aunt Wop and a handful of family members formed the core of what would become officially Chopper Gang. Hank and Wop were right hands to Pooh Shiesty from day one, both men known in the Memphis street circles as active shooters for the gang. As Shiesty would describe the start of Chopper Gang as an organization built around getting money before things would take a turn left. After 2017 and into 2018, the Chopper Gang name was spreading. Facebook posts from back then show Shiesty and his gang repping Chopper Gang openly. They would adopt the number 375, each digit corresponding to the letters CGE in the alphabet, standing for Chopper Gang Entertainment. And from the very beginning, there was one rule that many on the outside would come to know about Chopper Gang. To join, you didn't just swear loyalty, you gave your life to the gang. In order to be a real member of Chopper Gang, you have had to committed serious acts of violence, up to and including murder. In Shiesty's own song, See Red, he would rap, "Wanna get with my gang, it costs death to get in." And in the song 762 God, Shiesty would also state, "No, you can't be the gang, you know it's hard for us to gain some trust. You wanna be the gang, you gotta sacrifice your life to us." These lines were...
You know what this nigga said? "No, you can't be the gang. You know it's hard for us to gain some trust. You want to be the gang, you gotta sacrifice your life for us." The fuck? You joining that shit? Hell nah, nigga. This nigga talking about some you gotta kill a nigga to get in that shit, bro. I'm cool, bro. Oh God, a nigga tell me I gotta put somebody down.
It was a very much truthful statement. Chopper Gang also had an important extension through a separate but deeply interconnected group, KSBG, short for Knock Back Gang, a crew that operated primarily out the New Horizon Apartments, formerly known as the King Gate Apartments, located in Whitehaven. As Big 30 being...
Oh, Mike tripping, twin? Alright, what about now? Okay, perfect.
Chopper Gang, but a well-known affiliate of KSBG, and the two groups operated in close alliance, sharing members, music, and street activity. In October 2018, after graduating high school earlier that year, Shiesty, Big 30, K Shiesty, and Chopper T dropped their first official music video titled Breaking News under the YouTube channel Chopper Gang Entertainment. It was filmed right in front of the Cane Creek apartments, with Shiesty visibly holding high-powered rifles while stating in the song, "Breaking news, bitch, I'm Shiesty Pooh taking shit what I do." By 2019, a few months after releasing Breaking News,
I feel like if I had to be a part of a gang, I wouldn't have any gang that like. I wouldn't have any gang that would have like, you know what I'm saying, like we put in guns in the name. Yeah, that shit. I'm not going for none of that. You feel what I'm saying? That's why I fuck with YSL. What Thug say is called? Young Alright.
the group was buzzing all around Memphis. They hadn't blown up nationally yet, but in South Memphis, Chopper Gang had
he said Thug, truly humble under God. You know what I'm saying? That's what it means.
thrived. In order to explain the evolution of Chopper Gang, it must be explained from the origins to the ongoing wars associated with Chopper Gang. The most publicly documented rivalry was between Chopper Gang and EBG, short for E-Bezel Gang, a crew from Smoky City, a section of North Memphis centered around a street called Crockett Place. EBG's name itself was a memorial, a tribute to a fallen member known as E-Bezel, who died in a scooter crash in 2015. Ironically, Shiesty and the main rapper from EBG, a man who goes by the name E-Jizzle, both attended Central High School at the same time. They knew each other well before the beef, but Shiesty and Chopper Gang was from South Memphis, and E-Jizzle and his crew, EBG, were from North Memphis. And there's always been a tension in Memphis between those two parts of the city. The beef between Chopper Gang and EBG specifically would start over a robbery, when Shiesty and members of Chopper Gang ran down on EBG's trap house in North Memphis and took their guns. In the aftermath, nobody from Chopper Gang's side denied it. Shiesty himself would address it multiple times in online threads. In an Instagram rant, he stated directly, "I took the choppers from EBG." And then came one of the most perfectly timed music moments in Memphis rap history, the song Back in Blood with Lil Durk, where Shiesty will rap, "Yeah, you know who took that shit from you, come get it back in blood," talking directly to EBG on one of the hottest records in the country, using a multi-platinum song to send a very personal message. Everybody in
Yeah, see, that's what you want, nigga. Your phone not in here, nigga. My bad, gang. You ain't clocked what I'm saying, gang. The hissing stopped. Now it's back again. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck, bruh.
Knew exactly what that line meant. EBG
that was horrible. Right golly, I need to start checking my own shit, bro. That's kind of crazy.
Wearing clothing with the acronym CGK, short for Chopper Gang Killer, as the music would stamp a declaration of war between EBG and Chopper Gang. Shiesty would clap right back on Instagram with a story post stating, "Gotta be the worst move this cabinet gang made." He followed it with another post noting that he had made 18 million views off EBG without even saying their name. The very next day, Shiesty dropped the official music video of Back in Blood, filmed in Chicago with Lil Durk, pushing the song viral once again. EBG's remix to the Back in Blood song kept getting taken down due to copyright strikes, so E-Jizzle went back to work and dropped another diss track titled Rumors, which has since accumulated 21 million views on YouTube. In the Rumors diss, E-Jizzle featured EBG member Moose Slime with specific.
Hey, also, like, getting dissed on a song that going platinum, bro, you damn near do gotta get it back in blood, nigga. Like, you had no choice. Like, he called you out on the biggest shit, bro. I damn near feel honored though. Like, damn, nigga, you care about me that much? You gonna throw me in a song like that, gang? You real? You feel what I'm saying? But not a lot of niggas gonna see it like that though. So maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm tripping.
Specifically referenced two Chopper Gang members responding to Shiesty's Back in Blood song, saying Rico got dropped and Mitch got locked, so we couldn't get it back in blood, alluding to Chopper Gang members Rico, real name DeRico Houston, who was killed in January of 2019, and Mitch, real name Mitchell Conrad, who was arrested. This would confirm the timeline of the original gun robbery, as Rico and Mitch being heavily tied to the robbery, which had taken place before the songs were released. Shiesty's response would deny that E-Jizzle or EBG had anything to do with the death of Rico, stating that Chopper Gang had never been harmed by EBG without Chopper Gang getting the better end of the retaliation, and finished the post with EBGK. Then, just days after E-Jizzle released the rumors diss, he was shot 3 times, bullets hit him in the arm. E-Jizzle posted himself in the hospital with a cast on, stating, "Y'all gotta stop believing the blogs. I got shot in the arm 3 times." As many thought he was paralyzed, as Big 30 and Pooh Shiesty would hit Instagram mocking Jizzle being shot.
Ooh, I can't walk. I can't walk. I better can't do this. Can't do this.
As well as Shiesty writing on Instagram, "That this, now he can't even walk." But Jizzle only being hit in the arm. E-Jizzle would turn the shooting into a promotional moment, dropping another diss track right after called Paralyzed. But beyond EBG, Chopper Gang's most deadly ongoing conflict was actually far less publicized, and that was their war with MTB, short for Mafia Top Biz. MTB was a South Memphis-based gang operating in the same overlapping territory as Chopper Gang. And unlike EBG, where the beef started from a specific robbery incident, the CGE versus MTB conflict was deeper and older, rooted from a pure block versus block territorial competition producing violence for years. The most documented moment in the war came with the killing of Paul Nasty, a Chopper Gang affiliate, who was also
when you start working on that
cousin.
Nigga said, "I'm making an app for streaming. It's an AI powered assistant. It runs while you're streaming. You can talk to it via Twitch chat, or you can just talk to it in a voice and it talks back. You can record 30 seconds of anyone or any character talking, and it will clone their voice for you. So now your AI agent speak to you as anyone you want." What? Like, nigga, I could talk to Beyonce. It can control your stream elements, stream lives, and your whole Twitch. Bro, that shit hard, nigga. I'll be like, clip this shit. Hey, Twitch, clip that. I heard that's a thing too, though.
Paul Nasty was shot and killed by MTB members in South Memphis in 2019. Paul Nasty was an affiliate of Chopper Gang as well as a downtown Memphis street gang known as AOB. Pooh Shiesty was very close to AOB before they would later fall out. Rel, a member of MTB, would be killed in retaliation for the death of Paul Nasty, as Big 30 was stating the song Celine Famous, got that get back, spoke on Paul Nasty, turned him to a pack, as Rel would get killed at an MTB cookout. As Chopper Gang would show condolences to their fallen member Paul Nasty by releasing a song titled Long Live Paul Nasty, with Baby Shiesty, a Chopper Gang affiliate, Big Scat, an AOB affiliate, and Chopper Wop, another Chopper Gang affiliate. Baby Shiesty would stay in the song Long Live Paul Nasty, you speak on dude, you gotta lay. Then there was the beef with Big Boogie, a North Memphis rapper affiliated with the Red Rum Gang, or known as R4L, who was signed to Yo Gotti's CMG label. In July of 2020, Shiesty went on Facebook after a younger Red Rum member was apparently dissing Chopper Gang online, posting, "You could play with my name on here all day. Go ahead, go and get you some likes and laughs, but I'm gonna tap you on your in real life on Trey Day." He continued warning, "If I find out it's one of you Red Rum behind that page, I'm putting Boogie back up and ain't letting up this time." Boogie responded dismissively, and the two went back and forth on Instagram Live. Days later, Big Boogie's concert in Mississippi was shot up.
Pro Evil.
Man, fuck Pro Evil, bro. He talking about some weird ass weird shit, nigga.
No, bro. Pro Evil just told me, bro. Listen, bro. No, bro. Pro Evil was just set me up with some shit ahead of his time, bro.
I need someone like
He finna set me up with some shit ahead of his time, bro. Look.
Alright, give me a sec.
Oh my god, bro. I gotta go back now.
I'm gonna tap you on your in real life on Trey Day. He continued warning, "If I find out it's one of you Red Rum behind that page, I'm putting Boogie back up and ain't letting up this time." Boogie responded dismissively, and the two went back and forth on Instagram Live. Days later, Big Boogie's concert in Mississippi was shot up.
Nah, gang. That's a few bullet shots. Bro, he said that he beefing with you or something. I don't know what y'all. Yeah, he said what you say about him.
Fuck you, Pro Evil. You already know.
That's why Pro Evil like you a real nigga, bro. Bro, you see the gang shit they doing, bro? They shot up
50 shots were fired. 2 people were killed. 3 were shot. 3 more were injured in the chaos. One of the victims who died was a very close friend of Boogie's named Jasmine Bradshaw, whom Boogie would go on the morning on Facebook with the words,
"I know this
"She died
your
in my
type
arms.
video.
I'll never be the same." Police attributed the motive to a strong Memphis connection. As ironically on the previous Facebook Live, Shiesty would state along the lines, "Don't forget Boogie, you still gotta do shows."
Hey, you know you done coach yourself. You got shows in the head of you, bro.
As his show would be shot up the following day.
Yeah, that's Pooh Shiesty people. He started a gang in 6th grade.
Beef between Shiesty and Boogie eventually cooled, but not before proving once again that in Memphis, social media beefs don't just stay online.
you the feds, bro? You said he started a gang with?
He said it, nigga, not me.
Oh.
A deal with the devil?
Gucci Mane the devil now?
Nah.
By April of 2020, Pooh Shiesty had built something real up from the ground in Memphis. He was independent, funded by street money.
Bro, they said Pooh Shiesty gang said that you gotta what's it called? You gotta sell your soul to be part of his gang.
I believe it.
The music was catching fire without a major label behind it. The song that opened the door for Shiesty was Main Slime, a track produced by Memphis' own Take Keith that caught the right ears at the right time. One of those ears belonged to Gucci Mane. As at the time, Gucci was building his revamped 1017 record label, and he was specifically looking for the grimiest, most authentic, and most street-certified young talent he could find. Gucci was bringing the streets to the industry because the streets was the brand. 1017 would go on to accumulate a roster of young street rappers who almost universally ended up incarcerated or dead shortly after signing. Fujiano, post-signing to Gucci, would be convicted on firearm charges as he would cut his ankle monitor off and go on the run. After later being apprehended, he would get sentenced to 5 years in prison. Hot Boy West, who was called the hottest rapper out of Texas when he signed 1017 in July of 2020.
You know that nigga?
No, nigga, that's a West.
That's how you.
No, that's Wesley.
That's what you used to go by, nigga.
Nah, it definitely wasn't that. It wasn't WES.
Back in the day, you ain't never went by WES?
No.
Oh, it's WSS.
Met up with a man to sell his Rolex watch, but decided to rob the victim instead, taking $9,000 in cash, keeping both the money and the watch, as he was later sentenced to 15 years in prison. Matt Critter signed to 1017 in October of 2022, dropped a collab with Gucci, and a month later, he was arrested for first-degree murder after a shooting in North Memphis. FTO Set, Shiesty's own cousin, signed to 1017 in 2022, dropped a mixtape in 2023, and was later arrested for attempted murder, aggravated robbery, aggravated assault, and drug possession. Kato Times, who was signed at 1017, would be charged for attempted murder following a shooting at the FedEx Forum Arena. In Channing, 1017's only female artist would die over a drug overdose. Big Scar, as well, would die over a drug overdose. Gucci's own wife would jokingly ask him why his artists kept going to jail or dying, and his response was essentially that he couldn't control what they did with their own personal lives. Many now call the pattern the 1017 curse. In a Breakfast Club interview, Shiesty recalled being in disbelief that someone of Gucci's caliber had noticed him at all. And in that same year of 2020, Pooh Shiesty would go on to sign to 1017 Records, a joint venture between 1017 and Atlantic Records, as this, from the outside looking in, was a prominent start in the mainstream spotlight for Shiesty. But in hindsight, it was the initial start to the downfall.
Bro, no, on God, bro. Maybe signing was the worst thing he could have done. Because now you got eyes for real watching him. Because he was committing all these crimes before this shit. You feel me? You know he caught a body and all that.
2020. Shiesty and two other Chopper Gang members were in the Miami area riding high on the momentum of his emerging career. A man was attempting to sell Shiesty a pair of Jordan 4s and some marijuana. Except Shiesty had no intention of paying for either one. Instead, he allegedly set up the seller to be robbed. And when the seller caught on, two shooters opened fire, leaving the man injured before Shiesty and his entourage left the scene. The car they fled in was a bright green McLaren with CCTV cameras all across Miami captured on multiple angles. And when they pulled off in that green McLaren, what fell out was a Louis Vuitton bag. Inside that bag was $40,000 in cash. Pooh Shiesty organized the robbery for a pair of Jordans and some weed while having $40,000 in a designer bag, and then fled the scene in one of the most recognizable cars on the road. The robbery wasn't about money. It was about the mentality of Pooh Shiesty. It was about taking, because taking was who Pooh Shiesty was. He had been doing it since he was 11. The money never changed that. The police's problem was that the narrative made almost no logical sense to the judge. Why would a man with $40,000 in cash rob someone for weed and Jordans? The story had gaps. The judge said she didn't usually grant bonds in armed robbery cases, but she made an exception here due to what she described as a lack of probable cause and context. And Pooh Shiesty walked out on a $30,000.
Nigga, but he had $40,000, nigga, in a bag, a designer bag, and went to go steal some shoes, nigga. Want to steal some shoes for a nigga, and then the $40,000 came out the bag, and he was in a bright green McLaren and had his nigga shooting at the nigga. Like, bro, that shit makes no sense.
He survived the legal aftermath of this Miami robbery. For now. November 6, 2020. a date that hit the rap industry from two completely different directions simultaneously. On one side, it was the day that Lil Durk and Pooh Shiesty officially dropped the audio to Back in Blood, as Shiesty had met Durk on one of his trips down to Atlanta, exchanged contact info, then showed back up at the same studio a week later with the record. Sources say Durk completed his verse for Back in Blood in under 5 minutes. When the song dropped on November 6th, it started climbing instantly. But on the other side, this November 6th was the same day that Durk had lost his best friend and fellow rapper King Von. So on the very day Back in Blood was being previewed by Durk on Instagram Live, comments were flooding the screen telling him that Von had been shot. As soon as the Back in Blood song was dropped, it instantly started climbing Billboard charts. And in Memphis, everyone knew a specific lyric that would catch everybody when he stated, "Yeah, you know who took that shit from you? Come get it back in blood." He was talking directly to EBG. Meanwhile, Shiesty was scoring some of the biggest career wins of his life. By February of 2021, 3 months following the release of the Back in Blood track, Shiesty had become the #2 most streamed hip-hop artist in the United States, sitting directly behind Drake, ahead of Juice WRLD, Lil Durk, and NBA Youngboy. As he would go on to drop his debut mixtape, Shiesty Season, in the same February of 2021, which debuted at #4 on the Billboard 200. Back in Blood would eventually go 8 times platinum as of today. Shiesty Season will go double platinum. But even in the middle of all this success, 2021 delivered another personally devastating blow. EBG's rapper E Jizzle, still posting on social media from the hospital following being shot, made a cryptic Instagram post referencing Shiesty's brother T to P, who was at that moment in a severe battle with brain cancer. E Jizzle wrote, "It's crazy, niggas had all them jokes about a nigga getting shot like they brother ain't somewhere gasping for air." Days later, on February 28th, 2021, T to P lost his battle with brain cancer. The brother who had given Pooh Shiesty his nickname, the man who had helped shape Pooh Shiesty, was now gone.
Oh no.
Memorial Day weekend 2021, Miami. King of Diamonds, a legendary Miami strip club that has seen just about everything over the years. Pooh Shiesty was performing, money out, lights blazing, at the absolute peak of his career at this point. He was on tour following one of the biggest debut runs in recent rap history after dropping his debut mixtape Shiesty Season. And in the moment, he was exactly where it seemed like he was supposed to be, living the life focused on his career. But somewhere in the crowd, something went wrong. Someone got a hold of the cash Shiesty had hanging out of his pocket while he performed. On camera, Shiesty can be seen scanning the crowd, visibly frustrated, a ski mask on, trying to locate who took the money. Security begins shoving people out the way, scrambling through the audience, trying to recover the situation. But at some point in the chaos, a gunshot let off.
They jacked Pooh Shiesty. They took his money.
5 minutes later.
Pooh Shiesty shot. Pooh Shiesty later.
People scattered in every direction, fans left visibly shaken, the show descending into chaos. Then, another camera angle captured what would end Pooh Shiesty's freedom for years, as seen him leaving the club with a gun visibly in his hand, wiping the fingerprints off the firearm with a napkin in plain view, while fans were still standing around, surrounded by cameras and surrounded by witnesses. He immediately went to Instagram to manage the narrative, stating nobody had taken anything from him, trying to protect his street image above everything else. But a week later, a warrant was issued for his arrest. He turned himself in. And this time, when he went before the judge simply said, "There's not a chance I'm giving this kid a bond right now." Bond was denied for Pooh Shiesty. But just a few months later, the feds would sweep in. The federal government, seeing the pattern across both the October 2020 Miami robbery and the May 2021 club shooting, and as well as Shiesty.
I'm on a reaction video, so I should be tuned in or don't be on the reaction video, because when niggas like make it like, you know what I'm saying, if a nigga like when Z and them was doing a reaction video,
yeah, they not just
one nigga wasn't on his phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nigga, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what you doing.
But it is low, bro. You ain't too.
You ain't saying nothing.
I'm just saying.
He pleading guilty to a June 2020 drive-by shooting in Memphis, where Shiesty admitted to being in the car when Chopper Gang caught enemies at a gas station and let off shots from inside a vehicle passing in a drive-by manner. In early of 2022, Shiesty pleaded guilty to all counts. In April of 2022, he was sentenced to 63 months in federal custody.
Also, you ain't even see what I was trying to tell you to peep, bro. This nigga shot up the club, nigga, and was wiping the gun off with a napkin while walking out the club. So niggas took videos of him. Like, what the fuck?
Exactly 5 years and 3 months. The rocket
That's
ship
definitely
that
some
had
real
been Pooh
thug
Shiesty's
shit.
career
Because he already
came to a
thinking of what to
complete
do next.
halt.
But he's got to put the gun away, then wipe it off and go away.
He's not an assassin, though.
Yeah,
He's
you know what I'm saying? He a thug.
Federal prison is a different world. It operates on different rules, and the reputation you carry on the streets follow you inside. Pooh Shiesty was sent to USB Cannon, a high-security federal penitentiary, and it didn't take long for the politics to find him. Inside, approximately 50 GD members, short for Gangster Disciples, reportedly surrounded him and confronted Shiesty. The reason? His friendship and musical alliance with Lil Durk, who was affiliated with the BDs, short for Black Disciples. In the song Shoulda Duck, Durk had openly dissed GD member FBG Duck, who had been killed in what many believe was a hit connected to Durk and his affiliation with King Von and O Block. That beef from Chicago streets had found its way into a federal prison in Pennsylvania. According to many accounts, Shiesty stood his ground, told the GDs if it was a real problem, they were going to have to kill him, and a physical altercation followed. Some accounts noted Shiesty got his teeth knocked out in the process. Regardless, still standing his ground. In an unreleased track that later leaked, titled Last Seen Evil, he rapped, got kicked out the FCI, crashed with the GDs, Glizzy froze, referencing the prison confrontation directly. Outside, the streets of Memphis were turning into a bloodbath in Shiesty's absence. Young Dolph, one of Memphis' most beloved independent rap legends, was shot and killed in November of 2021.
Why they acting like this nigga? This nigga was holding the streets down. Like that's the reason why the crime was down was because of.
No, he said crime was up while he was in jail.
That's what I'm saying. So Pooh Shiesty was nigga the Avatar nigga.
Like he was keeping the peace.
Yeah, nigga.
No, I think he was just saying like shit was just cracking, bro.
It's like I'm just confused, nigga.
Yeah, I bet like Pooh Shiesty was probably like, dang, I wish I was outside right now. It's cracking.
Yeah, but whole time like maybe Pooh Shiesty unknowingly nigga was like he was the nigga that was committing the crime, so nobody else was type shit. So it's controlled.
What
you know what I'm saying? They not shooting Young Dolph if he out there.
I don't know, bro. I don't know, cause we don't know how the beef and ties and work was.
Cookie's Bakery in Memphis. Chula Mafia members responsible for the killing of Dolph were eventually arrested and charged for the murder. Memphis fractured entirely after Dolph's death. Pooh Shiesty himself had a complicated relationship with that war, as Pooh Shiesty himself had close ties to Chula Mafia, as he once made a comment to a post that stated legendary moments RP J Money, under a throwback picture of Chula Mafia founder J Money, showing his connection to the very gang responsible for Dolph's death. These were the Memphis politics that defined which sides you were on, and Chopper Gang's alignment was showing out on the PRE side. Sides were chosen, labels went to war. The CMG versus PRE conflict bled into every corner of the city's music scene and street scene. There's another death that took place during this period of Shiesty's incarceration, which was the murder of Newski, Big 30's cousin and KSBG's most active member. On January 28, 2022, Newski had been with Big 30 at a rap performance at a local high school. Just hours later, while Big 30 had moved on, Newski returned to his residence, the New Horizon Apartments in KSBG territory. Newski was shot and killed while still seated in his car in the parking lot. In the immediate aftermath, Young Mob CEO, leader Stupid Duke, went on Instagram Live dissing Newski directly.
Yeah, we can't make this shit up, man. YML, man, double up, man. You found dead in your car, man.
Big 30 later publicly claimed that Newski had been handling the street muscle on behalf of Moneybagg Yo. That Moneybagg Yo had essentially replaced Newski through Big 30 as protection because outside forces were putting pressure on him. When Newski was killed, Moneybagg Yo allegedly went ghost. This fallout would go on to end the Big 30 and Moneybagg Yo business relationship completely, as Big 30 was signed to Moneybagg Yo. Later in 2022, more personal grief arrived for Shiesty as his own cousin, his label mate, Big Scar, died from an accidental drug overdose. The aftermath was ugly. Big Scar's sister publicly claimed Gucci Mane had promised to pay for the funeral, then backed out and even demanded his 1017 chain to be returned. Pooh Shiesty said nothing publicly, but he was watching. And in the song Federal Contraband 2, recorded while Shiesty was behind bars, he would state, on bad terms with Scar before he died, couldn't even say I love him. The war between Chopper Gang and Double R had driven a wedge between the cousins. Now one of them was in the ground and the other one was in a prison cell, unable to make peace and unable to say goodbye. Gucci had also been quietly doing things, quietly behind the scenes, that strained his loyalty to Shiesty and Chopper Gang. He went behind their back and did a song with B.E.O. Little Kenny, an artist affiliated with Young Mob, a gang with an active war against Chopper Gang. A group openly claimed the murder of Big 30's cousin, Newski. That was a
So this what happens when niggas start going behind their back and trying to do some shit like that. This because these the serious gangs too.
Later, Gucci was signed
real,
2 times to
you feel me?
1017. A man affiliated with Double R who was actively at war with Chopper Gang and KSBG, and who had songs dissing and rapping about murders of KSBG and Chopper Gang members. These were not strategic business decisions. These were personal betrayals to the loyalty of Pooh Shiesty. Meanwhile, in late 2024, Gucci cleared almost its entire 1017 roster, calling it a profit and loss business decision, releasing almost every rapper except Fujiano and of course Pooh Shiesty. He went on Instagram Live 2025 to announce it, saying he had reviewed the label's finances and the roster didn't make business sense anymore. Pooh Shiesty, while still being locked up, was the only truly undeniable star Gucci had developed in the new 1017 era, and his catalog was still generating revenue. Gucci was not letting that go, and that decision, keeping Shiesty locked in while releasing everyone else, will become the seed of what was next to come. After roughly 4 years passed by in federal custody, Shiesty would get out early on good behavior, shaving off his original sentence to just 63 months. Shiesty would lay low for a couple of months following his release. Then, in December 2025, he released one of the most anticipated comeback records in recent rap history, FDO, short for First Day Out. The song would go on to debut at #1 on the Billboard charts. His first release out of prison, and it went straight to the top. Shiesty, still showing his street mentality, was stating in the song notable bars such as, "I ain't shot nothing in like 4 years, I ain't seen a hit in 3," as a cold reference to him sitting a hit from federal custody, as well as stating, "A whole war going on, I'm stuck in a cage, it drove me crazy." An acknowledgement that the Memphis streets had been a war zone throughout his incarceration, and that he was helpless to do anything from behind bars. Then came the most ironic bar of the entire song, as stated, "Unfortunately, I'm CEO and a top shooter for my gang." Pooh Shiesty literally stating that as the leader of Choppa Gang, he can't just be an artist, he had to be a shooter too, and that sums up Pooh Shiesty's role in Choppa Gang. In an XXL interview around the same time the release of FDO in December of 2025, Shiesty sat down and gave shoutouts to Lil Durk, Lil Baby, 42 Doug, and notably Yo Gotti for holding him down throughout his incarceration. That Gotti shoutout was not lost on people who understood the landscape of Memphis music and street scene. CMG, the other side of Memphis, the side Choppa Gang's orbit had increasingly been gravitating towards, especially following the fallout with Moneybagg Yo after Newski's death. The pieces were all moving, but nobody knew yet that they were already moving towards a collision. As from an unreleased song mentioned earlier titled Last Seen Evils, Shiesty would state, "Behind them chains you play them games, I'm back out now, the game's on me." And as remembered from stated earlier in the video,
this nigga sound like the Grim Reaper, bro. I don't know, bro. The way they make it, the way that he talking, bro, I think him and Vaughn would have been good friends.
They would have both been bonding.
Yeah, bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro.
And Dirk, bro.
Vaughn died too early, bro.
And Dirk, bro, you know, Dirk free Dirk, bro.
That's true.
Dirk a real
1017 chain back. And this could have been the fuel to ignite the fire.
But he like sitting out here, bro. He was like real life, he rapping about what niggas talking about.
Yeah, they definitely real rap. Like these niggas is real rap. Yeah.
January 10th, 2026. Dallas, Texas, where Pooh Shiesty had been residing following his release from federal custody. Gucci Mane and his team flew into Dallas for what was supposed to be a business meeting. The subject, Pooh Shiesty's contract with 1017 Records. According to federal paperwork, Shiesty had specifically requested this meeting, frustrated with the terms of his deal, wanting to be released from the label, hoping to negotiate his way out. The studio was located inside an office building in Dallas. Around 2:53 p.m., Shiesty's father, Mob Boss, reached out to the studio owner to schedule a session. At 3:15 p.m., Gucci and his team arrived and settled in, with one security guard in the room and one outside. At 3:39 p.m., surveillance cameras catch Mob Boss outside, pacing back and forth on his phone. And shortly after, Shiesty and his full entourage were captured entering the studio. The crew included Big 30, Baby Slime, KD, CMO Damn Fool, CMO Twin, Glizzy, and Mookie Roo. One of the most significant moments captured on surveillance showed Mookie Roo exiting to go to a vehicle and returning with a duffel bag over his shoulder, almost certainly containing the firearms that would be used and what would happen next. But before Shiesty could even go to enter the meeting, he would get a call from his parole officer telling him he was not supposed to be outside his residence. As Shiesty would respond saying he thought he was able to be out for recreation, as this was not the case, and the parole officer commanding Shiesty to return back to his home confinement. But before Shiesty was able to return home, he had one thing to do. Inside the studio room, Shiesty would lead Gucci into a separate recording room to speak privately. Then Pooh Shiesty would present Gucci Mane with a pre-drafted contract term.
Just like the craziest thing, like yo, P.O. just called you and told you to get back,
nigga, and you still like, I'm not going back. I can't go back.
I can't go back, nigga. I have to get this nigga.
And then also, like, I ain't gonna lie, like maybe I'm a bitch ass nigga, but I don't think I would have went into that studio room privately with this nigga, bro.
Gucci Mane, he had his security there.
But he just said he asked him to go to his private room. Like, would you do that with a nigga like with Pooh Shiesty?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you die, you die.
It is what
it is. Nigga, you signed him. You ain't want to let him out the deal, nigga. You like, I died.
Shiesty would tell Big 30 to get his bag. The same bag Mookie Roo would go back to the car to get. Big 30 would retrieve a Draco-style rifle from the bag as Pooh Shiesty allegedly leveled it at Gucci. Here's a layer of irony that the internet could not let go of. Just 1 month earlier, in his #1 comeback record, FDO, Shiesty had rapped, "830, pass me that Drake." And now here, in the Dallas recording studio, Big 30 was doing exactly that. Gucci Mane, now outnumbered, outgunned, gun and then alone in a room with Chopper Gang, signed the contract termination. Big 30 would go to film the commission of a federal crime all on his phone as documentation. Then Shiesty told Gucci to hand over his cash, his watch, and his jewelry, as then the whole crew opened up on everybody in the studio. Gucci's entire entourage was robbed at gunpoint, even a security guard. Big 30 stood at the door like a human barricade, blocking anyone from entering or exiting while the operation played out. At 4:48 p.m., approximately 1 hour after Pooh Shiesty and his entourage entered, the crew walked out. Surveillance cameras captured them in their vehicles as they left. The 4 Memphis-based Chopper Gang affiliates, Twin CMO, Baby Slime, CMO Downfall, and Mookie Roo, had taken a Greyhound bus from Memphis to Dallas and back, specifically to avoid the paper trail of air travel. That calculation backfired completely. The FBI would go to subpoena Greyhound's own
in the city. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, bro, nigga, y'all niggas here already, bro. We got the Drake, nigga.
He got all this money, nigga.
Obviously, we reset it.
Yeah, you
like
could definitely just be like, bro.
They took a Greyhound there, bro.
I know,
obviously,
but also,
was trying to set this nigga up for
this shit really dumb though, because it's like, nigga, like, bro, you think these niggas did not think any of this through. First off, if a nigga is signed something out of what's it called, nigga, they getting held at the gunpoint, they gotta sign it, nigga. That shit don't mean nothing. First off, then nigga, if you was gonna do that, you might as well have killed Gucci Mane, nigga, cause. If I'm Gucci Mane, I'm going straight to the police when you leave, nigga.
That's what folks did, nigga.
You feel what I'm saying?
records, and those bus laws became some of the most damning pieces of evidence in this entire case. But the single most damning piece of evidence against Pooh Shiesty was his own electric monitoring device, as Shiesty was equipped with GPS monitoring following his release from federal custody as a part of his home confinement agreement. Within about a week, details of the robbery were already circulating on social media in graphic detail, as well as partial surveillance footage leaking online. Multiple defendants made an amateur decision to post on Instagram wearing and flexing the stolen property. What they didn't know was that the feds were already lurking. April 1st, 2026. Federal authorities announced the arrest of Pooh Shiesty and his father, Mob Boss, at their family home in Texas. The full indictment covers Shiesty, his father, Big 30, and all participants in the January studio robbery, indicted by the Northern District of Texas on charges of kidnapping and armed robbery. If convicted, they each face the possibility of life in federal prison. Pooh Shiesty had been out of federal custody for less than 6 months. He had been on an ankle monitor the entire time the robbery took place. His parole officer commanded him that very afternoon to be home. He, being so ignorant, he ignored it. Then came the moment that split the culture straight down the middle. Gucci Mane, the man who in the 2008 Vlad interview said, "Hell nah, I don't do that. Where we come from, we don't do that." When asked if he ever cooperated with the police, would give a statement to law enforcement. He cooperated. He described the events being the primary witness, and he responded with the first ever rap song, Confession, with the song titled Crash Dummy. He rapped, "Tell the truth, you went out like a real crash dummy. After all that, boy, you still signed to me." He breaks down the robbery step by step, stating, "I thought it was a business meeting, but it was a setup. I walk in the room, you could feel the pressure building. Dap me up, the whole time they against me." He even described signing the contract while being under duress, stating, "Pressure on my chest, but I still ain't pressed. Pen to the paper, but it's under duress." By describing the contract as signed under duress,
I ain't gonna lie, bro. He a snitch, and he claiming that he snitched. That's the best way to go about the snitching shit, bro. Because this that shit you do when you really get me, and like it got this nigga really angry, bro. I ain't gonna lie, like nigga, you came in here, nigga, really pulled a gun to my chest, nigga. Made me sign these papers, and you thought you was finna get away with this? You still stole my jewelry on top of that shit, nigga.
I would have told too,
nigga. Fuck, bro. I would have told on that nigga so fast,
From a
nigga.
2021 song titled "Ugly" that Shiesty and Gucci did together, Gucci would ironically rap, "We don't call the police. Get in the streets and get our justice."
6K Studios do some shit
We
like
don't call police though. We get in the streets and get our justice, nigga. Oh, bro, nigga, if somebody robs 6K Studios, if it ain't nothing crazy, bro, I'm
nigga. They
making
took his jewelry. Nigga, they made him sign them papers.
If they made you sign some shit, that's a whole different thing. If they just robbed the nigga, then it's a.
That's what I'm saying. They did robbed, double, bro. Nigga. They took it because look,
sign papers
they could have
like,
just no.
Legally, that could like that's like. Bro,
they could have just made him
talk about this.
Yeah.
Like, cause I didn't really sign these papers, bro. So we got to talk about this.
That's what I'm
why
saying.
I signed these papers. So now, why did I?
So
sign
you got to
these
realize how much money he was just trying to take out of Gucci Mane's pocket, basically.
Yeah.
He was taking away all his money that he make, right? He was trying to take all Pooh Shiesty money. Then he was trying to take nigga his jewelry too. And nigga, all the people like his.
He tried to take that nigga.
All his cash he had on him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, nah, bro. You just trying to take, nigga. And I gave.
Nigga, I didn't gave you the.
You know what I'm saying? I gave you the keys, nigga.
It would later come out that Pooh Shiesty may have legitimate grievances. As Big 30's own lawyer, Arthur Horn, sat down with Vlad TV after the arrest and stated plainly that he believed Pooh Shiesty did not receive funds from Gucci Mane while his music was still making money behind bars. Shiesty's own co-defendant's attorney handed the prosecution a motive Vlad TV after the arrest and stated plainly that he believed Pooh Shiesty did not receive funds from Gucci Mane while his music was still making money behind bars. Shiesty's own co-defendant's attorney handed the prosecution a motive in real time. The tragedy of Pooh Shiesty is not that he was made wrong with being born into a city that was already at war with itself.
That's what I'm saying, nigga. Did you see the video of Pooh Shiesty robbing him? He like, bro, he like real, yeah, real street nigga. You ain't never told on nobody. He recording him like, so he thinking, you a real street nigga.
Next to you.
You saying I stink?
In my thoughts, I've been fighting demons, ain't no invitation. When I lose my shit, it's not cool, bad situation. Why am I wearing all these faces? In my truth, I'm a bad man, can't keep up with the evasion. Gotta stand on business and stay solo. Still praying for the days where the niggas ask for photos. In my head, am I the problem? Bad thoughts, yeah, I caught them. Bloody fists, yeah, I fought them. Road to riches, I'm on the bottom. So do I take my time and just fight my temptation? Or do I let go all my problems? Can I say salutation?